It's the show where our guests compete for likes. I'll be asking the questions, and if these guys answer in a way that I deem is a good answer or makes an interesting point, they will get a big thumbs up from the Facebook or company not to be named thumb button that we have right here. It's so big, it doesn't fit on the screen. Let's get going. I'm going to let these guys introduce themselves. Gina, who are you? Where are you? How long have you supported West Ham? What are you drinking? What's going on?
I am Gina. I am the person who does the Facebook page for Mile High Hammers, kind of admin-y person. I am drinking a Modelo Michelada. What else? I'm from Denver. And I think that's pretty much it.
Excellent.
Oh, how long have I supported West Ham? Yes, I knew there was an important one in there. I've been supporting West Ham about 9 years. I started supporting when I met my husband because he basically told me I had to.
That's I feel both happy and bad for you at the same time that you're in this predicament of supporting West Ham. It's a love and a joy, and also a misery and a curse at the same time. Chris, intro yourself, my man.
I'm Chris from Houston, Texas. I'm originally from California. I run the Bayou Ironworks, which is the Houston chapter of West Ham supporters. And I've been supporting West Ham since birth, I suppose. Since I got it from my dad. He was from Essex, so that was what got me into it. And then I'm drinking the Balvenie Double Wood. A little bit of whiskey.
Yes, whiskey. Whiskey with an E or without an E?
Without the E.
Oh dear, that may be a thumbs down already. But listen, we've got we normally have 3 guests on this show. We're having a couple of troubles with one of our guests' internet connection, so we may or may not be able to have them on tonight. If not, we are working on a backup, and hopefully they will come in soon. These guys, obviously, depending on how long I talk now, will have a few like advantage over that person. But we'll see if they can make up for it in the meantime and improvise with some of the questions that we have. So, without further ado, we're going to get underway, and I will ask the first question. So, recently, I think it was on Wednesday or Thursday, or the Boxing Day fixtures were announced. All 20 teams will play. Games will start at 12:30, 3 o'clock, 5:30, and 8 p.m. UK time. The away team players will likely have to train and travel on the national holiday, Christmas Day, or Boxing Day itself. So my question to you is, what kind of entitlement should professional athletes expect when it comes to holidays and days of obligation? What could they expect? What do you think is right? Is it okay that these guys have to, travel to far-flung places in the country on a day that's essentially a national holiday? I'll go to you first, Gina.
So get your thumbs down ready. So I am a nurse by training. So I, up until a couple years ago, worked every Christmas. So it was kind of part of the job. So
listen,
so, yeah.
both my parents were nurses, so you automatically get a thumbs up for that one.
Thank you. Yeah, so it was kind of part of the job. And as you know, a lot of people are aware, there used to be Christmas Day matches. So it did actually used to be, I don't know, Boxing Day is a pretty big holiday in the UK, so you kind of getting double hosed. But in my opinion, it's kind of par for the course. And you think of the Detroit Lions, who've played every Thanksgiving game here in the US since I think the beginning of time. I think it's just one of those things where it's a big day for watching football. It's kind of one of those things I think you kind of know when you're getting into it. And I think it's a really exciting day for football. So I don't know. I saw the question and I was kind of or hear the question, I'm a little bit I don't know. They do make a lot of money too.
That certainly helps. That certainly must buffer the, what is under the Christmas tree is because of the Christmas training.
Yeah, and stuff like Range Rovers.
Exactly, Chris.
I'd have to echo exactly what Gina said. I mean, it's kind of par for the course what you sign up for. And I think if you're an English player growing up, you probably want to be playing on Boxing Day because it's such a huge tradition in the UK to be, playing in front of, all the, all your locals on Boxing Day.
Yeah, I think it's a staple, right? I mean, it's such a, and over here in the States, we don't get Boxing Day off, or at least most people do not get Boxing Day off. I take it off because there is a staple of games that I just want to sit there and watch the whole thing. But looking on the other side of the fence there, so the players is one thing, but the fans, you've got them traveling long distances, you've got them on a national holiday when there's limited public transportation, trains are down, buses potentially are down. It's hard to get to these games. Is it fair on them to want to go to put these fixtures the times they are and where they are? For instance, you got Liverpool, I think, is going down to Leicester on that day.
Yeah.
Is it fair? Gina, let's start with you. Then I'm going to go to Chris. And then I've got another Chris I'm bringing into the room. Oh, Chris is in an Ohio State. Thumbs down. You're starting with 1 point down, Chris. That is awful.
Hey, they're playing right now. Give me some
Is
credit.
that the Friday night game tonight? Is Ohio? Oh, God.
Yeah, unfortunately it is.
I have nothing but bad words to say about that. Gina, we're coming to you on this question. Chris, I will reiterate the question if you didn't hear it before for you. But Gina, let's start with you. So about the fans.
Yeah, so we've been in the situation where we've tried to go places Boxing Day or even the 27th is rough. But I do think it is a privilege to get to see the Boxing Day games. It's a decision that you kind of make as a fan. So I think it's one of those things that, for us, for example, I would love to go see a Boxing Day match. We can't. We're not going. We're over in the UK. I'm over in the UK for Christmas, because my father-in-law is exactly what you're just saying. He's like, I'm not dealing with any sort of train service, not driving. So it's just not going to happen. So I think it's basically, long story short, I think it's one of those things that you just plan for. It's a privilege you get to do it. I don't know. Same thing. I don't feel too bad. I do feel bad for the Liverpool to Leicester people. I do feel bad for them. That's rough.
It's a bit of a trek, it seems like.
It's a little rough.
I'm not going to call you old Chris, but I'm going to call you Chris and maybe young Chris. Chris, where are you on this?
I think, what Gina says is right. I mean, it is a privilege and you plan for it. I mean, you have all year to plan for it, right? But at least this time they're all sort of on Boxing Day, right? I think last year our game got pushed to the 28th or something, which was totally ridiculous.
And it seems like something similar. I mean, you can plan all you want, and then suddenly they take it out from under your feet, with game time changes and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true.
But I think Boxing Day, the tradition should be local derbies. You should never have to go more than 30, 40 miles to play the game.
I'm completely with you.
Even if that means you have to play I don't want to say as a friendly, but it should be something that draws the community together, as opposed to sending half your community down south.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It looks like we lost the other Chris for now. We'll see if we can get him back. I'll fill in for his spot for a second and give my own opinion, which I'm sure nobody wants to hear. But I'm with you, Chris. I think we need to do it on. It needs to be local derbies. I think a lot of them used to be. It makes no sense to me sending people halfway up the country. I don't know why they're doing it. It also doesn't need to be all 20 teams. You can maybe split half and do another half on New Year's Day. But it's the most exciting part of the season, isn't it? I mean, for me, it is. You go from the week before Christmas through to New Year's. It's brilliant.
I always feel like it feels like a new season after Christmas. Do you know what I mean? It always feels like a new season. I don't know.
Yeah, it's the transition point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really tells you kind of everything comes out for the new year at that point. It's
Yeah.
who's going up, who's going down. It really starts to sell.
Makes
Young Chris, Buckeye Chris, Ohio
I'm
State is the
rooting.
worst team, most hated team on the planet. Chris,
Hey, it's not Alabama, so.
that's a fair point too. There's your first thumbs up.
Hey.
Go on, Chris. What do you think, Chris? What's going on with these Boxing Day fixtures? Is it fair to fans to be traveling all around the country on a national holiday when public transport is kind of hard to get?
I wouldn't say so. I've heard a little bit of you guys talking, whether it been when I was on my way home or when I was backstage here. And I do agree that there should be some, but I don't think that it should be the entirety of the league. Like the NFL, for example, like we've been talking about, there's only 2 games on Thanksgiving. There's usually 1 on Christmas. It makes it that much more exciting. The NBA does a similar thing where it's a few games on Christmas Day. So it's really up to, it's just, there's not enough. Like with how much transportation is needed, you're going to have to bring in so many more people for working as well. And it's just not fair to anyone.
Yeah, if it were me, and I suppose formerly it was me, every Christmas, every birthday, asked for West Ham tickets. That was what I wanted as a present. So I would hope, and I didn't live in the East End, mind you, so it's a little bit different. But I would hope if you were there, if you're a fan that cannot make it, somebody else is going to go. I think we have enough people in line for a ticket that we'd still fill it. We'd still fill it. And whether that's right or that's wrong is something completely different. But there's been a lot of complaining. I think there's a lot of people that want to get tickets. It's got to be a balance of somewhere in between. And these kind of opportunities, help those that can't necessarily get to every game, maybe pick up a game. So let's move on to the next one. Young Chris, let's start with you.
Alrighty.
That may be a little bit unfair since you may not know what's coming at you. But tell me, what team do you have an irrational hatred of and why? And tell me why I should hate them too, or any of us should hate them.
So are you, this is probably a dumb question, but I'm assuming you're meaning like football teams.
I was originally, but if you want to take it somewhere else, you can feel quite free to do that.
Like you said, I only got these questions like 20 minutes ago, so I didn't have a chance to figure that out.
This show isn't scripted. What are you talking about?
Fair enough.
Play like a champ.
Yeah. For me, that's a tough one actually. I'd probably say I think that I hate Liverpool fans, Liverpool the most, and it's simply just because of their fans. On Twitter, they just all the hypocritical fans, everything like that. They think that they're the greatest team of all time, kind of thing. So I'd have to say Liverpool.
Yeah, they probably will have a minute silence for your answer there. Gina, where are you?
So I mean, there's obviously the obvious ones, but I don't like Watford. There's something about them that I just find really irritating. I think their colors are really gross.
Yes.
I think their logo is stupid. It looks like it was like designed on like the 64-bit or something like that. It just is a bit crap. They have a fan here in Denver. He's done like a full like Mini Cooper auto or car wrap.
Oh God.
And I see it everywhere. And something about them just irks me. It's actually the last match or the first match I ever went to was Watford. And they kind of rubbed me the wrong way. You know, I was doing that thing like I'd never been to a soccer match in the UK, and I look over and they're like giving me obscene gestures and stuff like that. And just, yeah, ever since then I've been really happy when we destroy Watford.
I don't blame you. And looking at Troy Deeney, he looks like somebody that would break into your house. Chris in Bayou, where are you?
Well, so far all these have sound like rational hatreds to me, not irrational.
Oh, we got a little contention. All right, I'll give you a thumbs up for that. Getting tasty. Go on, Chris, son.
But I think for me, it's not so much that I hate them; it's that I'm just tired of Bournemouth. I wish they would get relegated already. Their
Yeah.
manager needs to go
I'll give you
somewhere
that.
better. They need to go away and stop beating us every time we play them in their stupid little Vitality Stadium.
Yes. Take your 10 fans and go home. Stupid
exactly.
cherry mascot. Awful. For me, I've got to throw it in there just because it's a question. For me, it was always Wolves. And it always came from the fact that Julian Dix could batter Steve Bull. But Wolves fans thought that Steve Bull was the hardest person in all of football back in the day. And ever since I saw Steve Bull on a football pitch, I hated Wolves. And they have a stupid name for a ground. We're going to move on to the next question because I feel my blood pressure rising. All right, let's get really serious. We'll start with you, Chris, in the Bayou. What's the best music album and why?
It's kind of funny because I'm not really the best one to ask about music. I'm like terrible at it, but I'd say if I had to pick two albums that I couldn't do without, or if it's all I could have, would be One Step Beyond Madness and Stop the Clock's Oasis. I think that if I had just those two CDs, I would be set for the next 50 years, and that would be goodbye to me.
You weren't trolling my Facebook profile earlier, were you? Looking for sympathetic ways to get likes?
No, because then I would have said something like the Beatles, like that guy did last week.
Yeah, that's true as well. That is true. Gina.
So this is not my favorite album, but I think this album is all killer, no filler. Every song could have been a single. Amy Winehouse, Back to Black.
That's a great shout. That's a great shout.
Yeah, it's just one of those albums that I have played to death. And it still hits me every time, and it kind of just depends on your mood, how the songs strike you. And it just feels so genuine to me and authentic. And like I said, there's every song on there could have been a single.
I think that's where I agree with you the most, is that
Yeah.
every song could have been a single, for sure.
Yeah.
Young Chris. What NSYNC album are you going to pick?
Oh, I'm not in sync now. I'm very different kind of person. Like, I don't have one favorite artist. I don't have one favorite song. I don't have one favorite album. But if I were to have to say, it'd be a more recent one for me because for me, I loved every single song on Ed Sheeran's Divide. I don't know if you ever really listened to that one, but I loved every single song on that one.
I haven't, but you're man enough to say it, so I'm going to give you a thumbs up for that one. What is it about Ed Sheeran's Divide, Chris? Go on.
I see, that's the thing too. I don't even know. Like, just Ed Sheeran, I love every single one of his songs. He's like the only artist like I truly follow.
What'd you make of his appearance on Game of Thrones?
It was kind of interesting. Kind of just randomly thrown out there. I feel like it was unnecessary, but all right, whatever.
It was very blatant compared to the Of Monsters and Men appearance that we had.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
All right, so conspiracy alert, guys. Declan Rice, because we never talk about Declan Rice on this show. He's got £100 million price tag on his head. Now, it's funny because some of the pundits are raving about him and putting that £100 million price tag on his head. There's been a lot of backlash from some of the ex-Man United players on TV, radio, social media, all of the above, about his worth and whether he's worthy or not to go to Man United. So do pundits on TV help drive prices of potential transfers up and down? Do they have that kind of influence? Gina?
I don't think so. I think that a lot of the ones that I've kind of seen talking, it kind of comes off just professional jealousy. Do you know what I mean? That's what I kind of say. I read one about Jamie O'Hara saying that, he's not good enough or something like that. And it's like, who actually is that? I know him from dating Danielle Lloyd. Who's like a reality star in the UK. So, I mean, I think, I don't know. I don't think it actually has much effect. I think when you're looking at someone like Declan Rice, you're looking at it as an investment, because I'm not actually sure at this point in time he's $100 million player, but I think he will be very soon. Um, and so I think he's one of those people that anyone who's looking at him is looking at him as a long-term investment. Yeah. So I don't, yeah, not my opinion, no.
Bye, Chris.
I was going to disagree, but I'm starting to lean more towards Gina's way now, I think, but only in the sense that I think when pundits get on TV and they talk about this, it's all to sort of rile up their fans to get on the TV and be like, 100 million for Rice, you're crazy. We could get 2 Pogbas for that or something ridiculous. And I think it's all just playing to the masses, but the actual value to the team, I don't think is affected by that. I mean, if the pundits say Declan Rice is worth 30, our owners aren't going to be like, oh yeah, you're probably right. Let's sell him for 30.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Other Chris.
I agree with what both of them are saying too. I think it's more driven for clickbait almost. Just trying to drive the most internet hits. Like, oh, this video went viral, so because someone said that Rice isn't worth it or is worth it or whatever. And I wanted to comment on one thing you said too, John, about pundits saying he's not worthy of joining Man United. Look at where we are at in the table compared to them right now. How is he not worthy?
Yeah, I will back you on that statement every single time. I mean, he was a standout player in that game against them, and I think they've been humbled. What I do find interesting though is that these guys are all the pundits. They seem to be on the same talking points. Do you think this is a coordinated effort? Are they talking? Is there certain things that they're all sharing, and why is that? We'll start with you, Gina.
I don't think so. I don't think it's coordinated at all. I do think that Manchester United in particular, because they have a recent glorious past, I think it's one of those things that maybe they're going through something like Nottingham Forest went through in the mid-'80s, where, kind of like they think of themselves as we're still kind of this dominant force and we're huge. But the fact is they're really not. They're pretty much a mid-table club and they kind of look like one. And so I think it's one of those things that you'd like to think that they're, a bit Grey Gardens, you know what I mean? Like they're protecting this glorious past. But realistically, a lot of clubs have been there before, and I think they're just not accepted their fate. So
I don't know if they'll ever accept their fate.
no.
Not with the fans that they have. Young Chris.
I don't think it's a coordinated effort as well, either. If it is, again, it's just them talking like, how can we drive the most clicks? How can we get the most internet traffic? How can we grow our brand by just shouting a bunch of lies? But it can't be.
Other Chris.
I think there's a subconscious bias in the pundits in that they think there is no way the person that's going to save their team is going to be a 100 million West Ham player who's only 19. They just don't think we can develop a player like that that could come in there and just totally change their fortunes.
Yeah. And it's very West Ham of us. It's very West Ham of us to assume he's leaving. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
to assume.
We have a pessimism like few others.
Yeah. It's like, he's so good. He must be leaving.
I don't know if I agree with you there, though. I got to say, because, you look at some of the past products, whether it's Defoe or Carrick or Lampard. I mean, I don't think people should doubt the quality that comes out of West Ham's academy. So none of you guys think there's any kind of coordinated effort. Do you think Gary Neville's on the phone to Rio Ferdinand? Do you think he's on the phone to the Glazer family? He was 20-something years at that club, I think, in total, between youth team and coming up through the ranks. There's no contact there. There's nothing that the club is pushing through ex players. Chris, young Chris.
I mean, I'm sure that they have, like, they try and call up and try to have some say, but the fact of the matter is that they're not the ones dishing out the money. They're not the ones fielding the team every week. So, I mean, they're not going to be, their opinions are going to be like, okay, cool, and then just move on.
Other Chris.
I think that would be. I mean, I'm sure they talk, but I think that's a lot of effort to nickel and dime West Ham down on Declan Rice for one of the most profitable teams in all of football.
Gino.
Yeah, I just really don't see that happening. I think it might be one of those things that came up in conversation. It's a bit like putting your bug in your ear, but I wouldn't say it's intentional.
Okay, that seems fair enough. I've got 2 questions left for you, and Chris, I'm sorry to keep calling you other Chris. I'm going to come to you first. Original Chris. Introduce one rule to make football better.
Man, there are already too many rules in football. I mean, it used to be here are the sidelines, here's the goals. Try not to kick the hell out of each other. And but I think one thing I would like to see back is stands. I would like to see fans standing for games. If they could make that work somehow, that would be fantastic. I think supporters get more riled up when they have to stand for the 90 minutes. I think when they sit for the whole time, they kind of fall asleep. And I think I even see it like in my own supporters group. Like there's a bunch of us that stand around the back of the tables, and then you get the guys who sit in the front and they're kind of dozing off, or they're playing on their phones or whatever it is. You know, I think it makes you more tuned into the game if you're standing up and you're watching it shoulder to shoulder with your other supporters. You know.
Yeah, I Chris.
So I actually like Chris's rule as well, like the whole standing. I don't know, for me though, personally, I don't know how it would make it work, but just no diving in general. If you take away that out of the game, Wilfred Zaha would not be nearly worth as much as he is.
That's for sure. Gina.
I think I would change the offside rule, maybe change it back. I just think it's gotten really ridiculous. It's gotten to the point, like, I mean, the VAR recently has really kind of made it really obvious how ridiculous it's gotten, where they're sitting there drawing lines.
Yeah.
Is his finger
onside?
Is his finger over? Is it, is his hair? It's got, and I mean, I say this as a person. I mean, I've been offside in my soccer team every week that I've played. So it's kind of a personal mission for me.
Would you keep the rest of VAR and just get rid of that, or would you get rid of all VAR?
I kind of don't like it. I don't like it. I thought at first it was going to be a good thing for us, and I don't think it's necessarily. I don't think so. I think I'd get rid of it.
What is it you don't like?
I don't know. I think the thing is, I always liked is, I think, like American football, you watch it and it's this, the call in the field, and then there's this like kind of go back and they look at it. And I think I kind of like, I mean, I feel like we get hosed by refs a lot. But I don't feel like it's necessarily been, that advantageous to us either. So I think it's just the fact that it's kind of taken this, the call in the field, it's kind of taken that out, and I kind of liked that. I liked that about soccer, that there's the call in the field. It's what I saw, whatever. So.
Young Chris, would you get rid of the VAR? Would you get rid of just offside? What would you do?
So it's really weird with VAR for me. I think what it would be for me is, or not even think what it is. VAR is going to have its growing pains. It's a new system. They have to work out the kinks. They have to figure out how to implement it correctly, when to use it, everything like that. But the biggest issue is the offsides is the fact that they're getting it down to the millimeter. It's not going to be that precise. Like if someone's boot is playing them onside by a centimeter, is it really worth that call to change? Like, is it worth it? Like these lines that they're drawing, like Gene was talking about, it's so perfect in an imperfect game.
Chris.
I think this is kind of a way for them to get people to not hate on the refs as much by making it somewhat objective, despite it being another ref who's doing the videoing, right? So, but for me, I would get rid of it, and especially for the offside. The offside's ridiculous.
Yeah.
The tolerance is so tight. I mean, if I lean this way and you lean that way, they're gonna call that offside. That's me beating your defense, right? Now, if I'm like feet, like clear space offsides from you, then that's me getting a cheating advantage, I think.
Well,
And you don't need VAR for that.
Go ahead, Gina. That's
It's
all right.
the spirit of the rule. Do you know what I mean? It's like I feel like they've taken away the spirit of the rule by sitting there and like he's saying, going down the millimeter. It's like, well, at that point in time, it's like, the wind blew. It takes away the whole entire point of the rule.
I really struggle with it. I do, because I get that it's millimeters can be frustrating, but sometimes you have to have a clear definition, don't you? I mean, if you know for certain somebody's knee is over, somebody's toe is over. I've heard the arguments against it, but the arguments for it, well, yeah, you're offside.
Yeah, but I think the thing
It's awful, but you're offside.
If it looks like you're offside, you know what I mean? That's why I kind of think that the call on the field's a good way to go. Just because, well, you obviously were offside. You looked offside.
I would agree with all of you if we haven't been so shafted by calls for like the last 100 years of our existence. I want to give it a season, and I want to see whether or not, because everybody has always said, it comes out in the wash, everything evens out in the end. It never seems to even out for us, ever. You know what? Hopefully, with a little VAR, it could even out, and goals like Liverpool scored that ridiculous one last season, where it was 3 yards offside. Hopefully, stuff like that at least goes away. So that
I think when it's that far off, they should just negate the goal afterwards. I mean, if you watch the video and it's like, it's 3 feet off, that goal doesn't count.
Wiped from all the record books. Liverpool, yeah, absolutely. That is disgusting.
And also, by your argument, you are trying to kill a West Ham tradition of moaning about the refs.
Yes. Well, I mean, to be fair, we moan about everything, but normally with good reason. So I'd love to get rid of that as well. If I could be a supporter of a team that didn't moan about everything, that would be a very different team whatsoever. I'd probably be bored, but I'd at least like to see it at some point. We got our last question tonight here. I think it's kind of a funny one, but our goalkeeper, our new goalkeeper, is Roberto, as everybody knows. Much hand wringing has happened. The gnashing of teeth has happened. I think he's had a couple of good games. He's doing all right. But people question his ability to be a goalkeeper. They saw him in that Oxford United game. He didn't do so well. He had 4 put past him. So, he may want to think about his next career. If Roberto was not a goalkeeper, what profession would he be in? Gina, let's start with you.
So I can't make the parking cone joke because I joked about it too much.
You can, though, and that will get you a like. But carry on.
I'm going to say wacky inflatable arms filleting man.
That's an excellent choice.
I think they should put him outside a car dealership, and I think he should drive customers to the car dealership. I think he'd be really good at it.
That is an excellent choice. By you, Chris.
I think he should be a magician because he can make your dreams disappear, your hopes. And when he does his sleight of hand, where did the ball go? It's in the back of the net.
That is brilliant. Oh, Buckeye Chris.
I can't think of any to top those two, so I'll just say definitely not an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah, you're probably right on that one. It's I don't know. I look at him, and with the neck tattoos, he should either be a Mike Tyson impersonator or a drug runner. I'm not sure which one it is yet.
That's a good one, actually.
We'll see what he gets to. We're coming to the end of the show here, or we would have been, but Bayou Chris and Gina are tied
Ooh.
for the first time in Friday Night Likes history. Let's go to, we're going to do this randomly. Somebody in the chat room suggests a question that these guys can answer. I need another question. We have a tie. These guys have the same points. Charlie, not Charlie, I'm sorry. Charlie was supposed to be here. Young Chris actually did a great job catching up. You were only 3 points behind.
Ooh, let's
I
go.
gotta say, you had
Kick
some
a field
excellent
goal.
points tonight. So Neil from Down Under, John Wall, Tim, any of you guys need a question coming back from the chat room, please, so that we can get this one going. Otherwise, I'm going to be forced to do a terrible question from Jeopardy or something of that nature. Here's one from Tim, actually.
That's a good one.
I like this one. Here we go. Will Winston Reed play again? I mean, obviously at least for West Ham, let's keep it to that. Will Winston Reed play again? He's been out, almost 2 years now, it seems like. He's been out quite a while. And in that time, we've had Balbuena come in. We've had Issa Diop come in. So it's not like he's going up against the players he would have been going up against when he was fit. So we'll do it with all three. Let's see if young Chris can come up with a couple more points here to even it up himself.
I can try.
We'll go to you first. Will Winston Reed play for West Ham again?
I'm starting to think no. He's getting to the point where his age is becoming an issue for sure. We've gotten rid of players at younger ages than him, and we keep trying to bring him back. And then one player that you forgot to mention too was Cardoso, the Portuguese kid, who they're saying will be third choice next season at latest. So he might be fourth in the pecking order behind fifth, behind Ogbonna, Diop, Balbuena, Cardoso, and then him. So I'm starting to think no, he won't. And the issue ends up becoming too is that no club is going to be able to is going to want to try and buy him because who knows if he'll play again.
That's a good point. Other Chris.
Yeah, I don't think he'll come back. I think he's done. I would even put him sixth behind Declan Rice being in there before he gets in there.
That's a good one. I didn't even about him.
Yeah, I think his career now is going to be, if he recovers, he's going to be playing in the MLS or he'll be playing back in New Zealand for his local team or whatever it is. But he's on the retirement tour now.
I don't think he'll come back either. I think the thing is it's been now at this point in time too long. I do think he's getting to where he's going to be too old. I think getting fit again is going to be an issue. I do have noticed that West Ham isn't the best at getting players who've been out a long time fit again. You've kind of seen players who've been out for a long time and they just don't seem to ever kind of make that transition back. So I think he's probably done. And I could maybe see him in the MLS or something like that, but I think he just had a short career.
Let me ask a follow-up question to that, because I think Reed itself, it's an interesting situation. They tied him down to a pretty long deal before any of this happened. I think his pay was pretty high. What should West Ham do about it? Or what can West Ham do about it? What should the club be doing when it comes to Winston Reed? Nobody seems to think he'll be back. What should we do? How do we do it? Gina?
Well, I think they should try and get him back. You know what I mean? It's kind of basically when you kind of sign a contract with a club, it's kind of a two-way street where it's like, you agree to play for the club supports you while you're out, obviously. So I think that would be probably the best thing to do is try and get him back, try and keep him engaged in the club. Because, he might surprise all of us. He might make a recovery and come back and be, and be great again. So who knows?
I hope you're right. Buckeye.
I'm kind of the same with Gina. I not even so much out of contractual contractual obligation, but also just kind of out of moral obligation, trying to help him recover, get back to where he was beforehand, whether he'll play again or not for us. One thing I could legitimately say too is actually him coming back as a coach, bringing him into the coaching staff, inspiring the younger generation even.
Mr. Pacey.
I think he's got a tough schedule now. He's got about 7 months left till the end of this year. Whereas if they hang on to Balbuena, they're going to bring in another center back. They're not. He's shown that they can't rely on him to come back to play. And I think, for me, I mean, I wouldn't like try to buy out his contract or something like that. I would make him a club ambassador, send him out to local community stuff. Help out kids with their training and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't cut him loose, and only because, well, not only because, but especially because of that goal against Man United. It's the last one to hold in. I mean, it puts him in hero status essentially.
That's a
I mean,
great.
it's not like Kieran Dyer where it's like I can't wait for this guy to get off the hooks. I mean, I don't want to I don't want to push him out, but I don't think he can come back.
Just the sound of Kieran Dyer's name makes my legs hurt as if they were injured themselves. That was a very close round, I'm going to say. But Gina, you've pipped it. You've taken it by a point. Gina is our winner this evening. Congratulations, Gina. Now you have the opportunity to have the floor. You can do whatever you like. You can chug a beer. You can tell people to chug theirs. You can promote yourself. Tell us where to find you. You can go on a rant about what's bothering you. You can tell us about your night out that you're going to have later that we heard in the pre-show if you really want to. Anything you want to do, go ahead.
It's going to be a very early one because our uptime is 5:30 tomorrow. So we'll be at the Celtic on Market. Russ Esposito is bringing kolaches, which is,
What is that?
That is a Czech pastry. But there will be savory and sweet ones. That's pretty much, there you go. And everybody, I guess, can drink up.
Well done, everybody. Everybody take a drink. Congratulations. Friday Night Likes. Thank you all for joining in. Thanks, everybody, for being in the chat room. I see Tim. I see Charlie. Charlie, thanks for joining us in there. We'll get you on another time for sure. Neil, thank you as always. I'm still not sure that you sleep. John Wall, thank you very much. Wally, I'm sure you're in there, and everybody else. If you are new to the show, please click like, subscribe, share it with your friends, and we'll see you next Friday. We are going to batter Everton tomorrow. And if we don't, do not hunt me down. Come on, you Irons. We'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Is it off?
It is not off. It's still going.